9 seconds. That's all it took for the oxygen in CNN's town hall to vanish. In front of 40 million Americans, Donald Trump jabbed the air with his finger, voice cracking like a gunshot. Denzel Washington didn't so much as blink. He leaned forward, voice low, deadly calm, every syllable like a blade drawn slow. This wasn't banter. This was a cut straight to the bone, a hand yanking threads nobody else dared touch. The kind of truth that makes even the thickest armor feel like paper. The red tally lights flared. The crowd's murmur died. Cameras rolled in slow sweeps, framing 2 empty chairs under the scorching glare. Trump had agreed to defend America's values, a phrase his team had sharpened to a perfect, weaponized pitch. Across from him sat Denzel, invited to be the counterpunch. He'd accepted instantly. This wasn't going to be a polite spar. It was a fight for the story itself. Backstage, the air was tight with static. "He's going to make it personal," Marcus warned, voice low, heavy with certainty. Priya slid over a tabbed folder, each tab a surgical strike. Denzel clipped his mic like a soldier buckling on armor. The stage wasn't just lit. It was stripped bare. Every twitch, every blink, exposed under white beams. Overhead, a crane camera prowled like a predator. LED walls pulsed in red, white, and blue, patriotism repurposed as camouflage for a political knife fight. Anderson Cooper moved between them with the ease of a man who'd seen blood drawn before. Handshake for Trump, handshake for Denzel. Scan of their faces, searching for tells. Trump strode in with trademark swagger, the grin, the smirk that slid toward Denzel like a slow insult. Denzel gave him nothing back. Eyes down, notes aligned in precise order only he understood. The lights pressed heat into his skin. The faint vibration of moving cameras buzzed through the desk. In his blazer pocket, the folder's edge tapped, a slow rhythm against his ribs. Inside, ammunition, each page a live round. The audience was a restless tide. Front row, a Vietnam vet, arms folded, gaze fixed. Midway back, a student live streaming to thousands. Further up, a suited man glancing toward Trump's team like he was guarding a secret. The countdown began. 10, 9. Anderson shifted into broadcast voice. Trump squared his shoulders like a boxer touching the ropes. Denzel raised his chin just enough to catch the lens. One heartbeat, and it felt like the country leaned in together. First question, foreign policy, safe ground. Trump smiled like a teacher indulging a rookie. "America's strength has been undermined," he said, side-eyeing Denzel, "by dangerous ideas from people who don't understand this country." Denzel didn't blink. Dangerous ideas? Calm, almost casual, but it landed like a gauntlet thrown. "You mean shutting doors while corporate profits soar and wages stay frozen? Economic inequality, up 20% in a decade. Black unemployment still double the national average. Veterans of color waiting months longer for care. Each fact dropped like a nail driven hard into wood." Trump's smile tightened. "Statistics can say anything," he said with a shrug. "But people see crime. They see chaos. They see the danger of letting certain people run this country." His eyes locked on Denzel. Denzel tilted his head, like catching the scent of something foul. "Certain people? Quiet, but sharp enough to draw blood. You mean people like me?" Trump didn't blink. "People like you shouldn't even be here." No smirk, no theatrics, just blunt force. The crowd rippled in disbelief. The veteran in front leaned forward. A phone camera shook in the back. "Did he just say that?" someone whispered. Anderson tried to intervene, palms up, referee style. But the moment stuck like smoke in the air. Denzel eased back, a cold, knowing smile ghosting his lips. "Mr. Trump," steady as stone, "I'm here because my community sent me, because I fought for them, Because my grandfather fought for this country. Because America's promise means all of us have a seat at the table. Trump swatted the words away like an unwanted commercial. His voice dropped lower, slower as the camera zoomed. I'll tell you exactly why you don't belong. The crowd leaned forward, bracing for the hit. Trump's finger shot out, sharp, accusing, and then, like a hammer, leave the USA. The detonation was instant. Gasps, phones rising, red record lights bloomed like wildfire. Denzel didn't move, didn't blink, didn't frown. He let the silence grow heavy enough to hear the cameras hum. When he spoke, it was ice cold. My grandfather fought for this country. Beat. Yours dodged the draft. The room froze. Trump's jaw shifted, but no sound came. His pointed finger curled into a fist. The crowd murmured, half cheers, half stunned disbelief. When, "You tell me to leave America," Denzel said. "You're telling my grandfather to leave the country he bled for. And I'm telling you, we're not going anywhere." The crowd roared. The veteran sat taller, nodding once. Trump muttered, "That's not true." But it sounded defensive, not defiant. Denzel's eyes locked on him. "Oh, I've got the records, and if America wants to see them, I'll show them." The room shifted to a low, dangerous hum. Trump tugged at his tie. His team looked away. Denzel leaned back, fingers tapping the desk in slow rhythm. He'd turned Trump's strike into a loaded weapon, and everyone knew he was ready to fire. 2 days earlier, Denzel's office. Gray winter. Light cut through half-closed blinds. Trump's rally clip played on his laptop. The smirk, the jabs, the rhythm before the kill line. Marcus stood at the door. "He's coming for you. Not your ideas. You." Priya flipped through printouts without looking up. "We need to be ready before he even breathes." Denzel leaned back. "So, what's the play?" Priya slid a folder across the desk. "Military records, both families." Marcus dropped another. "Business contracts, immigrant labor. Hypocrisy writes itself." Denzel opened the first folder. His grandfather stared out from a black and white photo, uniform pressed, medals gleaming. Beside it, a record of campaigns, victories, and years served. Marcus tapped. The other set of papers. 3 deferments, stepped aside while others stepped up. The door opened. Retired Colonel Robert Hayes. Tall, silver hair, posture like parade rest. "You want me there when you say it?" he asked. "It's not a want. It's a need," Denzel said. "Because if he calls me un-American, I want him looking into the eyes of a man who fought for it." Hayes nodded. "Sometimes silence is the loudest weapon." The plan crystallized. Anderson was already booked as moderator, but Denzel knew moderation wouldn't block the hit. He'd have to counter it himself. One document buried deep in the stack made him pause. Thin paper. Heavy meaning. Once revealed, there'd be no turning back. Next morning, calls before sunrise. National Archives, county clerks, one thread at a time, the net tightened. The first email arrived, a certified W-2 service record. His grandfather, crisp uniform, medals bright, France, the Pacific, survived both. "That's the hammer," Marcus murmured. The second email, Trump's grandfather's military record, deferment, 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 not 1 day in uniform. Denzel printed both. Laid them side by side. One spoke of sacrifice, the other of absence. 2 halves of a story America had never seen, until now. Meanwhile, in Manhattan, Trump's advisors drilled the "Defend America's Values" line. "Hit patriotism. It works," one said. Trump smirked, rehearsing like a comedian hitting beats. No one in that room knew the counterpunch was already packed in Denzel's blazer pocket. It was a tripwire, invisible until you were already too close. Denzel wouldn't spring it right away. He'd wait. Let Trump edge himself toward the cliff. Priya glanced up from her laptop. So, when do we drop it? Denzel's gaze stayed, fixed on the city drifting past the airplane window. When he makes it personal, he said quietly, when he thinks he's already won. The folder snapped shut with a muted click. Now came the discipline. Patience, precision, timing. One wrong move and the moment would die in his hands. The city was hushed when he got home. No ringing phone, no footsteps at the door. Just the low hum of the refrigerator and the faint orange wash of a street lamp through the blinds. He set his keys on the counter and walked straight to the glass case in the corner. Inside, his grandfather's uniform waited, dark wool, sharp, creases, metals catching the dim light in neat, stubborn rows. He pressed a palm against the glass. The cool steadied him. This wasn't just history. It was the reason he'd agreed to tomorrow. On the couch, the folder sat heavy in his lap. Marcus's warning echoed in his head. He's going to make it personal. Denzel knew exactly what that meant. The label had been thrown before. Angry black man, the shorthand designed to erase you before you'd even begun. He thought about how easy it would be to take the bait, to match Trump's fire and volume, and how quickly that would become the story, instead of the truth. His phone buzzed. Priya's message lit the screen. Everything set. Just rest. He smiled, faintly. Rest wasn't coming tonight. He opened the folder again, 2 pages staring back at him, one soaked in decades of service. The other blank where service should have been. He pictured the stage, the burn of the lights, Trump leaning in, grinning just before going for the throat. And the moment Denzel would answer, not with rage, but with something sharper, something colder. Near midnight, his phone rang. Anderson Cooper, calm, measured. Anything off limits? Denzel almost laughed. Anderson, if he swings, I'm swinging back. Just keep the mic hot. A pause. You sound ready? I am. After the call, he stood again before the case. The metals caught the light, almost like they were waiting for him to earn his own. You stood when it mattered, he whispered. So will I. The next night, the lights were blinding enough to sting. Anderson's voice rolled over the hush, introducing both men. The applause was polite but taut, carrying both cheer and warning. Trump went first, a polished monologue on immigration, fear in broad strokes. They're flooding in, he said, chopping the air with his hand. They're taking jobs, making our streets unsafe. Denzel's jaw tightened, but he stayed still. He waited for Anderson's subtle nod, then spoke, measured, every syllable precise. In my neighborhood, immigrants open businesses, create jobs, bring life back to streets others walked away from. That's not chaos. That's community. Trump cut him off, voice rising. That's an exception. You can cherry-pick feel-good. Stories all night, but Americans are scared. Denzel didn't flinch. Americans are also smarter than fear, he said, locking eyes with the camera. They know the difference between solving a problem and blaming a scapegoat. Applause rippled through the tension. The debate moved to the economy. Trump painted a country on fire, crime, inflation, collapse. Denzel waited for the pause that never came, then slid in. In South LA, unemployment is at its lowest in 15 years. Small business grants have doubled. Violent crime is down nearly 20% in 2 years. Trump scoffed. Numbers, numbers. Go talk to real people living with the mess your kind creates. The sting of the unsaid landed hard. Denzel's voice stayed steady. The real people? Their parents working 2 jobs and still mentoring kids on their block. They're the first in their family to graduate. They're veterans who came home and kept serving. Phones came up. The audience leaned forward. Anderson was no longer, controlling the pace. Then Trump went there. You're not an American, he sneered. You never were. The air cracked, gasps sharp and loud. The camera zoomed in on Denzel's face. He didn't move. His fingertips rested on the yellow folder. Trump leaned back, satisfied. You talk a good game, but you don't belong here. Stillness. A long, dangerous pause. Then Denzel leaned forward to match him. Mr. Trump, he said evenly, my father fought for this country. Yours dodged the draft 3 times. Sharp breath swept the room. Trump's smirk twitched just slightly. When you tell me I'm not an American, Denzel continued, you're telling a decorated soldier he didn't belong here. You're wrong. About him, about me, and about what it means to serve this country. He could have stopped there, but he wanted the knife to turn. He opened the folder slowly. The sound of paper against paper filled the silence. He held up a single sheet. This is my grandfather's service record. World War II, France, the Pacific, Bronze Star for bravery, Purple Heart for wounds in combat, 3 tours overseas, and every time he came home, he served here. Anderson glanced at the page. He'd seen fakes before. This wasn't one. So when someone tells me I'm not American, Denzel said, I remember the price my family already paid for the flag we both claim to honor. His hand hovered over the second document. And I have another record here, he added. Your grandfather's. The choices he made when the country called. The audience stirred. Trump's eyes narrowed. By the next morning, clips of that moment flooded every network. The split screen, Denzel with the service record, Trump silent, became the thumbnail of the night. Messages poured in from generals, civil rights leaders, even a retired Republican senator. That's the America I recognize. But Marcus had warned him. Praise came with shadows. The attacks followed. Edited clips, lies, threats. The office tightened security. 2 mornings later, Denzel stood in the cemetery, folded paper in hand. He found the headstone, Staff Sergeant Elijah Washington, Bronze Star, Purple Heart, kneeling. He set the paper at its base, a transcript marked at the moment he'd spoken his grandfather's name on national television. I told them, he whispered. I told them you fought for this country, and no one can take that away. That night, his final broadcast framed him alone. No podium, no opponent. Justice isn't about who yells the loudest, he said. It's about who stands when it matters most. You won't always have a stage, but you'll have moments. In a meeting, in your neighborhood, in your family. That's when you decide who you are. Stay quiet, and division wins. Speak, even if your voice shakes, and you give someone else permission to do the same. The image cut to debate night, service record in hand, the audience on its feet. His opponent silent. He looked into the lens. What would you have done in my place? The screen faded to black. His words lingered, steady, unshaken, unforgettable.